So let's have a quick talk about some of the strategies that are doing well. So this is as I said before, this is our crude. I've been through the crude system, and the point I wanted to make there is the higher time frame filter has made a big difference. And again, that's the example in crude. And just to show you that it's not just crude oil, the one that I like, that I've been doing a little bit of tracking on as well, or testing on, is this S&P. Now I haven't tracked this live yet, but I'm looking to potentially go this week now that we're into the new month. So the S&P 400. This is a nice little strategy. It's been very consistent. It's not that did take a lot of trades last week, but we've got, that's the higher time frame filter. That's the no higher time frame filter. And if we go back to daily, let's just break this up. I think it had yeah, so much better. It had a lot of trades last week, but they were between 2s and 3s. Its worst day was like 8 trades, but there was obviously a lot of volatility there. But looking at the system here, it's got a great trade net profit. It's got a average trade net profit. It's got brokerage and slippage built in. The drawdowns are a little bit. They're not really what you would say the low end of a drawdown. They're not the smaller account size drawdown. So if you are looking for, say for example, you're putting together your portfolio. I mentioned this last week. I would probably, and I'll load these ones up, I would probably be inclined to look at, say, systems within, and I'll just open that up for you. I would probably be inclined to look at, say, for example, the NASDAQ pilot and the NASDAQ system. I would look at probably the Russell, the Dow. So I've got 2 Dow systems there, and I would take a look at as well. So the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the Russell. The Russell's another one that needs a little bit of work, but are probably a good starting point. So they're good systems to start from. My intention this week is to have pin bars on all of those markets as well. So the Dow, the NASDAQ, the Russell. So all of those, I've already got the S&P 400, and I'm just going to build to that. One thing you'll notice on this pin bar, I just want to, just before I just jump out of there, I'll just quickly wrap this one up. As I said before, this is tracking really well. Another solid week on the EMD. And again, the average trade net profit is holding consistent at 45% win rate, profit factor 1.87. The thing I like about it is the average win to loss, 2.23. So that's on the higher time frame filter. On the lower no time frame filter, you've got an average win to loss of 1.64. So it drops a little bit, doesn't it? It does take a little bit of a hit there. It's almost 2 as profit factor, but the drawdown is around about the same. And our average winning trade, average losing trade. This is where things get interesting, because your largest losing trade is 12.49. Your average losing trade is 3.82 and 6.28. Over here, you've got 3.28 is your average losing trade, and your largest losing trade is 5.64, so much better. So that's quite a deal better, isn't it? So that's the EMD. That's one that I like. I think that it'd be nice to put a multi-system strategy together on that. We spoke about that last week with the opportunities that you've got with the systems. So building a nice little multi-system on that would be quite good. If so that's the EMD, no time frame filter and time frame filter. Soybeans is another good one that looks really good. The overall profit there, we've got slippage and commissions built in, and the average trade net profit is outstanding on that. Little bit of a drop off here as in performance, but it's climbing back up nicely now, and it's doing quite well. It did hit a drawdown here and took a little bit of a hit, turned off, but it's bounced back since then. So I'm hoping to see that perform a little bit better going forward. And as I mentioned before, the pin bar. Now, the EMD, we've had a couple of heating oil is looking pretty good on this pin bar, as well as the Renko systems, and also too, and I'm doing most of my testing on the pin bar on obviously time-based charts. That's the preference, but you've got to be a little bit careful with systems or markets like the MD and markets like heating oil and gasoline and things like that, because you can see here there's no real great volume here. So when you're doing your testing, if you do find that you're watching a chart or you're previewing what type of price action is occurring early morning, if you see this, there's no point in trading that. Like, you really want to run your testing in the heat of the day. You want to make sure that you've got plenty of volume, plenty of volatility, and you're getting some good trade setups. You definitely don't want to even consider running your system analysis and testing through this period here. That's just a waste of your time. So that's one thing you want to do with the MD. Like the volume at the moment, sitting at 267. That's pretty hopeless as far as you trying to get orders away and not getting any slippage on the bid ask. That's not going to happen. So you want to make sure that you're not caught out in that situation. So let me just, has anybody traded the MD before? We'll just get a quick show of hands if anyone's trading it or tracking it or looking to potentially trade it.